Bald Head Island, Bald Head Woods, Bald Head Island, Old Baldy Lighthouse, and Smith Island. Like Will Smith Island. Is that Oak Island, the lighthouse? Is this where Oak Island? The beach house, motel, and suites at Oak Island. 911. What is that place? Where'd it go? It's the what is that? North Carolina? Yeah. Wilmington, Delaware? Wilmington? No. Is that Wilmington, Delaware? No, Delaware is up here. So this is in North Carolina, Oak Island, Baldy, Bald Head Island. And for some reason it just says Frying Pan Shoals. Frying Pan. What is this thing? Is it just a reflection of the clouds in the sky? Or is that really under there? It doesn't really make sense what it is. It looks like a big shadow. But it definitely shows in the landscape itself. It's just a different color underneath the earth or underneath the sea. Yeah, I wouldn't mind living there, Bald Head Island. That house would probably suit just fine. Can I land here? Bald Head Island Club. I didn't see any bald headed people. Then again, they had hats on. That's nice. Nice little like that for sure. That's a guy, I'm not sure. Yep. Palm trees. It's perfect. Watch out for the alligators, though. You also have jaybird shoals, and that's just coming up from underneath, rearing its head up as a jaybird. I I mean, these are the images that are on Google Maps. I'm not even showing you anything other than what they're showing me. Is that there's an entire something else that's underneath the water here. It looks like it's grass. It looks like it continues on with the acres, underneath. And the water comes up. So maybe that's what it is. It's the earth with grass underneath of it. I mean, really plush garden, actually. And it just straight cuts off right here. Just stops. Looks scary out there. As if it's an underground city with a story. I tell you, because it has a dark line separated, coming up, has like a mouth that's chomping down with its eye starting here. If you use this as the head and you start down here in the eye here, and then the nose is coming out, and then the mouth is going down here. For what reason it would be there, I don't know. It seems like it's one of those tall-headed aliens.
Be no doubt an interesting one.
Not exactly like that. More like this here, right behind me. You have the eye here and the eye here, the pupil looking directly at me, and the face, the bottom of it, the pointed scorpion stinger at the end, and the yellow with the tip of the nose and the eyes bright, and the center point right in the middle of it with the head coming up, looking directly just snug with the tree of life that's right behind me. So it's just like it's stuck right to it. Always watching me. This alien over here. Also, you start with the nose here, the eye here, and the nose here, then the mouth becomes in this direction, and then there's a separation right there, almost like a straw. But if you just go down a little bit further, you'll also see another bigger portion of the nose and the mouth, and a separation right here, and it's like it's fluid coming out, but at the same time he's putting a big footprint in the earth as he's flexing his muscles. See, he's bald headed and he's flexing his muscles. And then there's also Bald Headed Island, which seems like a miniature an Anunnaki type of head is what it is. When you start with the eye here and the nose coming down and the mouth.
there's a couple of things in the video I'm just going to point out real quick.
See how the head of this is really, 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 really elongated? Really, really elongated. Like a perfect match, actually. Get it closer here. It's almost a perfect match. You put it on the right angle. Let me take away the labels. So it's Alien News.
And then bring out some other issues that are concerning to me as well. But besides the Ra, the God there, they're talking about the healings, things like that. Well, we're gonna get into that through this Ra God, but besides the Ra, and then bring out some other issues that are concerning to me as well. But besides the Ra, the God there, they're talking about the healings, things like that. Well, we're gonna get into that through this Ra God, the law of the law of one, book one, the Ra material as they call it, is, I believe, the alien entity that our government has been in contact with, along with another alien entity that lives under the oceans here on the earth there, who is.
And that would be this one. Lives under the oceans. Pregnant with the baby. So that's coming up right over here. It's still in the same forehead as the little horn speaking great blasphemous words. And this head is really elongated, which reminds me of this picture with this head that's really elongated. And then the other side of the face has it's more like the green serpent reptilian side, half and half. If anything, it has a look to it where it's at the end. It's at the edge of the city, the very corner, just like the other ones. It's like a smaller version of it down there. But unlike that one, this one has a look to it where it's like a water sewage system, and the water falls off to the edge there. And you're supposed to see these separations. It's like an X-ray underground where it has like the drop off, and then it somehow recycles the water to go back up, so it can tilt down from north to south again, and then it can go back up again. Because how else does the water continually go in the same direction, nonstop, as if it's being produced somewhere up there and constantly generated and then wasted, generated and wasted. It's more like it's all recycled and reused again. And this could be an underground system that starts it, where you can see it starts on this side and tilts down in the tomb of King Tut or somebody. Inside the tomb, the Egyptians the head of Bald Head Island. This is what's going on in his brain. The bottom of the nose, the eye is here, and then the mouth, top of the lip. But what's the rest of this stuff? It's just land, Robin. You're looking too far into it. Oh, yeah? How come this looks like it would be the back of your spine basically connecting to the next body they put you in? That's all the way in the back. And then it goes up to the head. So this whole portion right here is what's taken out and then plugged into another body.
Spokesman for this particular Ra, the sun god of Egypt, is actually who he is, who's going to be coming, and as I disclosed on Patreon there, who's going to be coming and then disseminating that that he sent Jesus, he sent Muhammad, and that the crucifixion is not exactly what you think it is. That it really wasn't the Jewish people that were at fault for the crucifixion of Christ. Things like that. All kinds of crazy things that are going on. I'm going to play it.
Under the Dome of the Rock. I myself, as a
All right, and I think they're talking about pictures. Let's back it up again.
taking pictures, and it seemed to be that there were tunnels under the Dome of the Rock. I myself, as a kid, would see miracles and
Okay, talking about pictures under the Dome of the Rock. Now, I'm going to start right there first. But again, this side here is dealing more with an alien god, which is very concerning to me. And which an alien god, which is very concerning to me. And it really, there's so many things that can really just raise serious questions. And we have to understand, truly there is the God of Israel. Truly there is Jesus Christ, the Messiah, the Son of the living God that came to deliver the children of Israel out of the hands of a very demonic influence that was happening to the Pharisees and Sadducees. As demonic influence that was happening to pull it up real quick. You know, your God, the devil is what Jesus said to the Pharisees and Sadducees. You are of your father, the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. He was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh of a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. That's in the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 44. And we can back up a little bit more. Why do you not understand my speech? Because you cannot hear my word. You are of your father, the devil. Right? That's what Jesus says to the Pharisees and Sadducees. As we also know in Matthew chapter 23, specifically, and going down to about verse 39, I believe it is, 36, 39, something like that. He says to them, you're the ones that kill the prophets, etc. And then he goes on and he says to them that, let me see, I think I missed it or something here. Yeah, verse 33, you serpents, you generation of vipers, how can you escape the damnation of hell? All right, so Jesus clearly, and there's more than one scripture on this where he's always referring to them that they were basically following Satan, you know, the Pharisees that was. And not all the Jews were, but he said he came to make the Father known unto them is what he came to do. All right, now with that being stated though, now we have this group out there,
He came to make known who the Father is, like your father, Satan, the devil, and the Father, along with the Son.
Trying to bring about this new hidden thing, all kinds of almost like a new age type of philosophy with it. But
well, I mean, love your neighbor as yourself and share all the goods that you have, all your riches. It's not really too new age. Yeah, it technically, I guess it is new age because it's something that doesn't happen. So it would be new. But it's really something simple and that's old, which is just share everything that you have because you have everything. Share everything that you have because you have everything to share.
It is clearly, and going back, remember, in their video there, let's just play it again. I want to get to the part here where they talk about Ra, this book of the book of one. Listen in.
He's in the head.
We'll only become aware of more planets that will come into focus,
At the top.
but we will become more aware.
It's at the top inside of the head of the big Nephilim head, wearing Vlad eyewear. Also as the beast rising up from the sea, which means to me, this would be the mother, father, creator. This would be the one with the big forehead would have the baby. That would literally be that person's baby inside rising up from the sea. And I just don't remember this picture, but there's definitely a big forehead. And he could have a little horn like meaning Satan on his forehead. It could be that. And then, in other words, the dragon gave him his power. And great authority.
Of seeing auras. The government came in, sealed it immediately, and made sure that nobody went down. And it was actually finding the law of one, where they explained the metaphysics of healing. And for the first time ever, I started seeing green coming around his head. According to
There it goes. The first time I seen green around his head. Instead of the silver, it's a perfect match. I just figured I'd put it over there like that.
I was doing a disclosure, and this is before I ever even heard of TLS, before I ever heard of this Ra, the book.
Ra TLS. So it's L. T and S sounds out to T's. Ra, and it's like Ra T's. The L is in the middle. So I've never heard of the TLS movement either. But apparently it's like nobody really has any affiliation with each other besides the fact that they run certain portions of the system on our planet, whether they own the Earth, and the other one owns YouTube, the other one owns the internet, the other one runs the government, the other one runs Hollywood. They don't really have any affiliation with each other except for through that TLS program.
The law book of one. Let me just pull it back so you can have it up on the screen there. Book one, the Ra material. Let me play this clip here for you where I speak about Ra, the sun god of Egypt, and him coming back.
Next year, I've told you about how that the U.S. is going to disclose the alien presence that is happening, that we have been in contact with extraterrestrial beings. And I found out just yesterday that one of those extraterrestrial beings is going to claim that he is Ra, that he is the Egyptian god Ra.
What?
The Egyptian god is going to claim that he is Ra, that is going to claim that he is Ra, that he is Ra, that he is Ra, that he is the Egyptian god Ra. And you want to talk about some confusion that's going to be coming. He's, also the creation story that they have is that they're going to speak about how that the humans were created as bioweapon slaves. And
Sounds like everything that you're saying as if, like, yeah, these people are going to come around, they're going to say this, they're going to say that. I'm not denying it, but it's going to sound like they are the ones that believe, and they're the ones that know God, and they're going to convince all the people that that's what they're going to do because they're doing it.
First is that Ra has a different story when it comes to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. And that different story has a lot to do with the...
Now all of the pharaohs have themselves,
And that different...
with this elongated skull at the back. It's saying an elongated skull at the back. I don't know how far this skull goes back, but it has definitely an elongated skull in the front. My dad here,
story has a lot to do with the Jewish people.
this with no nose sort of looks like this fella up here with no nose. The tongue is sticking out. You see it looks like his hand has two claws there, kind of like my brother's. Kind of like these two claws. Those two right there. Everybody's doing something with their hands, in positions, holding something, clamping down. Even me with my hand there, like one of them's touching the other. They look happy. I'm smiling. My brother Billy's playing. He's like playing with his hand puppet over here. See the hand puppet with the eye and the chin's up like that. Usually, I cut it out, stupid. I'm taking a picture. Oh man, the world that I was birthed into is just...
Aren't so responsible for his death in the first place. It's basically going to be an inclusive faith, an inclusive religion. And they have been working on this for a long time. They're working on trying to figure out how to hurdle over the issue with the cross. And the entities issue with the cross. And the entities have
the scroll of Isaiah, remember when he was here on the planet? He read from this. Remember? Because after he was done saying this, he was like, I'm here. Here I am. Here I am.
Thought this all out. And but one of the things that was shared with me in this information the other day was that talk about this.
Violate the heart of the law. You are like whited sepulchres, all clean and fair without, but within, full of dead men's bones and all dead men's bones and all dead men's bones and all corruption. You shall not see me here again. Not until you learn to cry, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, for I and my Father are one and the same. He is a
people being confused, and that's actually going to the scripture where it talks about how that, the very elect could be deceived.
But there's also the very elect it's right under your nose, can be deceived, which it can mean the very elect, like the number one, the one elect, because the serpent's seed will be against the woman's seed, a singularity, or it's the 144 can be deceived because they are the ones that are hunted for dinner on the spatula itself. So they could be all deceived.
And what he's implying is that the story can be so believable, the way they're going to lay this out, so believable that...
In other words, it is going to be so believable because of the way that they're laying it out. They will believe it because of how they convince the people that they have the true God, and they're going to believe it.
If it wasn't for the Heavenly Father, people would be deceived. And we're going to go much deeper into this.
And then that's like a big foot, has that foot look to it. That foot loose, it has a footloose look to it. But as you can see, this is also the swampland in Florida. And this here is a tooth for another tooth. Tooth for a tooth with Jald Karim here. So if your tooth is out, the only place that I know of on planet Earth, or at least in the United States, where there's nothing but holes, I don't even know how Florida's even standing up. There's so many craters everywhere. You would almost think it's going to fall apart. All these craters, swamp. Which one is this? This is the biggest swamp hole, which is probably where people come up from the sea at. What's that? Lake Okeechobee. Okeechobee. Queen bee. You have to have the key of the queen bee in Okeechobee. She probably looks something like this. But if you're missing a tooth and you're getting drained in a swamp, well, then you must be this guy. When you want to look at it and see the tooth, this is Swampville. This is Satan himself, like his eyes there and his nose and his mouth here. So right under his nose, right where the head of the baby is the foot that has the tooth for Jald Karim and Jacob, the heel catcher, trying to catch the heel of Esau. But if you want to look at it in a positive way, with that swamp being drained, they're also going to bury the hatchet. This is some kind of creature with his head. His eye is the green portion. He's looking down at him. He's looking up at him. He's looking down at him. He's looking up at him. And, it looks like they're just going to bury the hatchet and the two can become one. But his hand here is thumbs down. Superman. So Superman, thumbs down. So we got thumbs down here. So thumbs down. Even in the Pet Goat 2 video is in my picture. It's in my baby picture. Right here. Thumbs down. That's what Stephen James, he gives it a thumbs down. He sits back. And the tooth is drained, but also you got like a Spider-Man hairdo. If you take the other picture of my brother, Billy, and you got like a little Superman curl, I suppose. Like a Superman curl. And my sister Dawn here has like the alien antennas. So it could be just the two become one. They're burying the hatchet. He's coming at him. It's like a mob. These are a bunch of Miley Cyrus bear traps. PA, I always say as PA. And either New Year's Eve or 4th of July. 4th of July coming up. It would be 40, I would be 47, so my 46-year period would be over. And the 4th of July would be 6 days later. Hair almost looks like the Statue of Liberty from above, too. The head, the brain.
Have a meeting coming up very soon, and I'm going to be getting more of this information about what's going on, but I wanted to be able to share this with you now. One of the entities of these
if not single birth, born first, second, third, etc. 46. Is that 4B? If not single birth, was I a single birth, or was there really another? I mean, who knows?
One of the entities of the extraterrestrials, fallen angels, is claiming that he's Ra, the Egyptian god Ra.
Now, that'd be funny, right? See how right there is a perfect fit because it goes over the head. See the head here? The top portion fits right over the head, right there. And his eyes fit in place, and his tongue is sticking out right there. It's like a perfect fit, as if that was the picture to find on the internet to show you who's really in my picture.
Want to see my birth certificate? You want to see any of those things? You know, when Robin, oh, and by the way, I have two half brothers.
Spring would not be his, so when he went into his brother's wife, he wasted his on the ground in order not to give offspring to his brother. Genesis 38 verse 8 verse concepts. Then Judah said to Onan, "Go into your brother's wife, and perform your duty as a brother-in-law to her, and raise up offspring for your brother."
Genesis 38:8. I wonder what all that means. So Genesis 8. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite whose name was Hira. I'll say Hira, like someone that's hired. Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua, and he took her and went into her. She conceived and bore a son and named him So I'm just going to go by this picture that I have and see what type of relationship could there be here. So she conceived and bore a son, named him Then she conceived again and bore a son and named him Onan. She bore still another son and named him Shelah. And it was Chezib that she bore him. Now Judah took for a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. So let me look at this. If this was and that was his firstborn, it's like this is his firstborn, and this is the one telling you what to do. But Judah's firstborn, was evil in the sight of the Lord. So the Lord took his life. Then Judah said to Onan, "Go into your brother's wife and perform your duty as a brother-in-law, and raise up offspring for your brother. Raise up seed to your brother." And Onan knew that the offspring would not be his, so he went into his brother's wife. This one's saying, this is the Bible saying this. So whenever he slept with his brother's wife, he released his semen on the ground so that he would not produce offspring for his brother. This is in the Bible? What is this? One of the porn scenes? So Onan knew that the offspring would not be his. So when he went into his brother's wife, he wasted his seed on the ground in order to not give offspring. But what he did was displeasing in the sight of the Lord. So what kind of Lord tells you to sleep with your brother? Is it saying that he's still alive, or he's just telling him, now go into the king about the Judah performed the brothers visited. And Judah saw that he saw there a daughter of the certain Canaanites. Her name was Shua, like Yeshua. And he took her and went into her. All right, let's start off the picture like this. Shua and Judah, right? Judah, Shua. Judah, Shua went into her, and she conceived and bore a son and named him So that would be the first son right there, And then that would, later on, that son could either have changed to female and then had a baby later on, or could have already been born that way, that is already self-fertilized, which has a baby on its own, just without surgery, just by your DNA mixture. Then she conceived again and bore a son, named him Onan. So I have, there's another brother here, Michael, he was born. She conceived again and bore a son and named him Onan. She bore still another son and named him Shelah. And it was, so there was I have another, if you want to look at it as a son. And just take that picture as a frame of reference. Even if it wasn't me and my family. It's still just a picture of a frame of reference. To try to paint a picture as to how this is possible. With whatever it is that I'm reading for the first time. Now, Judah took for a wife for Judah took a wife for his firstborn, which could be his wife, his father's wife, because that could have been one of the problems, sleeping with your father's wife. So he could have taken, still bore another son and named him Shelah, and it was considered the one. Now Judah took a wife for his firstborn, which is like, all right, here's your wife now. Your wife is my wife. And then so go into her, and her name was Tamar. It could have just been a changed name now, because now it's someone is actually not only a mother, or it's like someone's not only your cousin at first, but now they become your father and brother at the same time because of what was done, how they were breeded, how they were mixed together in the family in order to have so many different names. And then each one of those names, each one of those titles, like a cousin, a brother, a mother, can also have a different name, but it's the same person. Because it could be where it's like, all right, now her name is Tamar, because she's going to bear a son by you, which is your actual son, and then you're going to have a son, but it's going to be his brother, which is, your son. But was the firstborn, did evil in the sight of the Lord. I would just say Stephen James Strong. And then Judah said to Onan, go into your brother's wife. So Judah said to Onan, go into your brother's wife and perform your duty as a brother-in-law. Because that's what brother-in-laws do. They go into their brother's wives. But I assume that the other brother died, and that's part of the story. That's why he's saying you need to keep that going in order for the bloodline, the seed, to keep going. And raise up offspring for your brother. Yeah, because your brother's not here anymore. Maybe your brother died because he went from male to female. He went inverted, so he doesn't have children anymore. But he still has the seed. It's the spark. And that's what goes through people. You're filled with the energy. And these are the races that are all going to be living together here on earth peacefully. And Judah said to Onan, go into your brother's wife and marry her and raise up seed to your brother. So if the one brother went and turned into a sister, then he can no longer have children anymore if he went in the one direction. It's not that he's dead, it's just that he's not a brother anymore. He's now a female. He can't produce any offspring. So it's like, next, you're still a male, right? Come here, go do your duty, because your brother turned to female. He can't do it anymore. But Onan knew that the offspring would not be his. So he went into his brother's wife. So he still laid with her. But he just wasted his seed on the ground. And that was not pleasing to the Lord. Because the Lord said, thou shalt not waste that anything or else. Because we're hunting you for dinner. You're wasting food. How much food do you guys waste on planet Earth with just throwing stuff in dumpsters? And there are homeless people. I know you don't have any respect for them, but I'm sure there's a way of getting people to deliver more of that stuff out there. But this is talking about going into your dead brother's wife. Then Judah said to his daughter-in-law Tamar, remain a widow in your father's house until my son Shelah grows up. For he thought, I am afraid that he too may die like his brothers. So Tamar, there you go. That's like, so Tamar went and lived in her father's house. So he was telling her to wait until, it seems like Shiloh, my son grows up. So just remain there in that house until he grows up. This is the grown-up portion of the story. So what led up to all that seed talk? The chapter before in 37. Now Jacob lived in a land where his father had sojourned, and in the land of Canaan. These are the records of the generation of Jacob. Joseph was 17 years of age. If you look at the YouTube platform, it's 18 years old. Was pasturing the flock with it. So this would be like last year. Sometime maybe 2022, early on, 2019. 17 years of age, was pasturing with the flock with his brothers while he was a youth. So Joseph, at the age of 17 years, so if the YouTube platform was 17 years, and then it's like Joseph starts on that year, his brothers are like 17 years older than him. This would be the son of Jacob at an old age. That's why that was his favorite son at the old age. Was pasturing the flock with his brothers while he was still a youth, among with the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah and his father's wives. And Joseph brought back a bad report about them to the father. So Joseph is the one that brought back a bad report to his father. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his sons because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a coat of many colors, a robe of many colors, a valley-colored tunic. His brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brothers, so they hated him and could not speak to him on friendly terms.
It happens, so I don't know what you want. Keep listening to Robin, and y'all will be gone in May. He even said it. He even made another prediction Robin made, so he is a false prophet. Because another prediction Robin made, so he is a false prophet. Jesus is coming first. That's blasphemy, and you are now a liar, Robin.
So his brothers, and they hated him and could not speak to him on friendly terms. Then Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him even more. He said to them, please,
said the father.
listen to this dream which I had. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf rose up and also stood erect, stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about, and they bowed down to my sheaf. Then his brothers said to him, are you actually going to reign over us?
Analogy of Robin. Because Robin thinks he's going to be a king. And you know what? He might be. I don't know.
Robin, he's a liar. He's such a liar. He's going to be slain.
Anyway, It's like, are you actually going to reign over us? Or are you really going to rule over us? So they hated him even more for his dreams and his words. His words. The words, his dreams. Because his dreams weren't the same as how everybody else has a script and they read and they say, I had a dream, and they really didn't. Or they're interpreting it as it's a dream, meaning a vision that they see, and it's kind of like a prayer mixed together where they make their dreams a reality. Now, he had still another dream and related it to his brothers. And he said, Lo, I have had still another dream, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars were bowing down to me. He related it to his father and his brothers, and his father rebuked him.
Now first, dickhead.
Rebuke you. Robinson, Henry, Tease. I rebuke you.
And he said to him, what is this dream that you have had again? Shall I and your mother and your brothers? Well, if you're talking about I, who's this here, and my brothers in the picture, then shall I and your mother? Oh, so if you're talking about I, and then my mother here, you, my mom, and my brothers and sisters and everybody, because I had a dream, and come down to bow ourselves before you to the ground.
Surprised that the market dropped so sharply.
Look out for the older people in our home. Older might be a state of mind, not necessarily an age. So for those millennials of us who have parents who...
If you watch what happened as the president was speaking and what he was saying, it's when he said that the outbreak could last until July or August, that's when the Dow kind of nosedived, hundreds of points. And as he was talking, the closing bell rang, almost to a relief to everybody on the floor here of the New York Stock Exchange.
It's 9:26 a.m. and I'm going to guess on the stock market today.
On just a small example, on March 16th, 2020, 4 minutes before the bell opens up, I did the video. It's in the morning. The sun's out. I said the stock market's going to tumble over 3,000 points today. In the title, it says tumble and 3,000 points. And what did it do that exact same day on Jonathan Kleck's birthday as he was ringing the bell?
1,000 points. Its worst closing day since 1987. 1987. Let's go straight to CNN's Allison Kosik at the New York Stock Exchange. And Allison, the largest point loss ever today.
And at the top, it's showing 4:26 p.m. I predicted at 9:26 a.m. and Jonathan Kleck rung the bell at 2:26 p.m. It was the largest stock point loss ever in the history of the stock market exchange. And just for that one day, I decided I'm going to predict the stock market today, and I'm going to say it's going to tumble 3,000 points.
The biggest and worst point loss ever.
John 3:16. It's time to ring the bell.
Like I said, I heard it brings all the way back to the garden. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen.
I'm going to guess on the stock market today.
4 minutes before it opens up, that it's going to be a 3,000 point tumble So the Dow Jones plunges nearly 3,000 points today. It's the worst ever in the history of existence.
Really important information there. The president starting out
Dow plunges nearly 3,000 points.
by saying,
Anyway, he related to his father, his father, and to his brothers, and his father rebuked him.
I rebuke you, Robinson, Henry, T. I rebuke you.
Well, yeah, Robin's an accuser, just like his father. His father, the devil.
Which one? What are you talking about? If it's this one, then that would mean at some point it would have had to have had some kind of a implant inside of the stomach area. Doesn't it look like a 666 from a distance here? Not that this has anything to do with what I just said, but there's a opening and something that goes in, makes it 666 there and something else. So yeah, what were you saying again, Steve? My father's the devil. Oh, that's great then. At some point, Father, I want part of Ballhead Island. Absolutely. For being born on this in Hitlerville as a prey in The Wizard of Oz. Who's really behind the curtain here, huh? Who's pulling down who's... Oh my goodness. It's the Wizard of Oz. There he is. He's behind the curtain, and the curtain was just pushed aside, and there he is, like tooting, like blowing things, pulling things, making lightning come down, like striking lightning down. It's behind the curtain, the square curtain, like a roller.
The wrath of the great and powerful Oz. I said, come back tomorrow.
If you are really great and powerful, you'll keep your promises.
Do you presume to criticize the great Oz? You ungrateful creatures think yourselves lucky that I'm giving you audience tomorrow instead of 20 years from
There he goes. There he goes. He's like the Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Oz. Look at him.
Oh, the great Oz has spoken. Oh, pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. The great Oz has spoken.
Who are you?
Oh, I am the great and powerful Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. Osprey. Osprey. Vatican little short version of a serpent, the tongue sticking open, wearing a crown. In the horseshoe, the magnetic field, legs up in stirrups. You got your pair of shoes. You got your pair of shoes. F. Use. If you. And also, I didn't forget about you, Johnny. F, FI.
Not enough of the fucking snake race. I'm serious.
What?
I'm done. Okay, sorry, I used a F-bomb. Yeah.
FI. But first, you have the F and then I. But what's the I for?
The letter F is the number 6 and the number I is the number 9. And right here, it's interesting that these two letters are tied together. They're tied together, and this is
9. 4 plus 4 plus 1 is 9, which equals I. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. So I is the number 9. 4, 4, 8 plus 1, 9, 9. But it's also 8 this direction, which would be 8, 9, apparently. 44, 8, 9. Because it was hungry. Or the cross 8, 9. The cross 8, 9. 144. Or the cross 8, 9 total, 11. The cross 8, which is 8. 4 plus 1 is 9, 9, and then 11. But you turn it the other way, it's an I, and then F, F-I, and Pfizer.
here tying the 6 and the 9 together. You see what I mean?
Anyway, what is this dream that you have had? Shall I and your mother and your brothers actually come to bow ourselves down before you to the ground? But his brothers were jealous of him. But his father kept the saying in mind. It's not like he didn't know either, but he was just saying like out loud, like because his brothers are around. He's like, do you think that Joseph will bow down to you and your brothers? Wait, hold on, please. And then Joseph was sold out by his brothers. Then his brothers went to pasture their father's flock in Shechem. Israel said unto Joseph, are not your brothers pasturing the flock in Shechem? Come, I will send you to them. And he said to them, I will go. He said, come, I will send you to them. And he said to him, I will go. Here I am. Then he said to them, go now and see about the welfare of your brothers and the welfare of the flock, and bring word back to me. So he sent him from the valley of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. A man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, what are you looking for? What are you seeking? And he said, I'm looking for my brothers. Please tell me where is everybody? Where he's all hiding at? Tell me where they are. And they are pasturing the flock, where they're pasturing the flock at. Then the man said, they have moved from here. For I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brothers and found them at Dothan. So Joseph was actually pursuing his brothers. When they saw him from a distance, and before he came close to them, they were already plotting against him to put him to death. And they said one to another, "Here comes this filthy dreamer."
Or snitch or FBI related. Oh my God. You know, I'm tired of hearing Robin's story about talking about Elijah. Robin, he's a liar. He's such a liar. He's gonna be slain.
Anyway, so here comes the filthy dreamer. Now then, come and let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits, and we will say, a wild beast devoured him.
Uvein zeracha uvein zera. All right, I will put the hatred between your seed and the woman's seed there.
The celebration of the birth of the Messiah Day. I am working on a Christmas present for everybody. Christmas present for everybody.
We'll just say a wild beast devoured him, and let us see what will become of his dreams.
Robin equals Nephilim equals rat equals Barack Obama. Why can't you people see? Why can't you people see? I'm just shaking my head. I can't believe it. I just honestly cannot believe that you are believing this beast from the pit, Antichrist.
Reuben heard this and rescued him out of their hands and said, "Let us not take his life." Reuben further said to them, "Shed no blood. Throw him into this pit."
Honestly believe that you are believing this beast from the pit. This beast from the pit, Antichrist.
And look at that endorsement.
I can't believe.
No, right? So, that is in the wilderness. But do not lay hands on him. Just, gang stalk him and do your tactics and whatever. That he might rescue him out of their hands to restore him to his father. Hold on, what? Reuben further said to them, "Shed no blood, but cast him into the pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again." So it came about when Joseph reached his brothers that they stripped Joseph of his tunic and his valley-colored tunic that was on him, that had many colors that his dad gave him. It's symbolically of being his favorite. And they took him and threw him into the pit. Now the pit was empty, without any water in it.
You are believing this beast from the pit, Antichrist.
And look at that endorsement.
I can't believe that people are actually believing the horse shit that comes out of this Antichrist's mouth.
You see, the water, the gospel, the truth of God is above us. Down here in the pit, there is no water. So when Joseph is thrown into a pit, he has to become the bread and the water, the one that can feed people throughout the famine, because that's how he interpreted Pharaoh's dream after the fact. And they sat down to eat a meal, maybe the Last Supper. And as they raised their eyes and looked, behold, a caravan of Ishmaelites was coming from Gilead with their camels bearing aromatic gum and balm and myrrh on their way to bring them down. Oh, aromatic? Abominant fluid, maybe? Yeah, balm, myrrh. It sounds like the same when they were bringing the gifts, the wise men to Jesus. And Judas said to his brothers, "What profit is it for us to kill our brother and cover up his blood? What does it gain us? He's in the freaking pit. We don't really live there. Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites and lay our hands on him, for he is our brother, our own flesh, actually." So, I mean, he's our own flesh. You can see we're here. You know who we are, right? Here we are. So let's just make an arrangement that way. His brothers will listen to him. Then some Midianite traders passed by, so they pulled him up and lifted Joseph out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver. Thus they brought Joseph into Egypt. Now Reuben returned to the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit. So he tore his garments. He returned to his brothers and said, "The boy is not there. As for me, where am I to go?" Jacob mourns Joseph. So they took Joseph's tunic and slaughtered a male goat and dipped the tunic in the blood. And they sent that very colored tunic and brought it to the father and said, "We found this. Please examine it to see whether it is your son's tunic or not." Then he examined it and said, "It is my son's tunic. A wild beast has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces."
I debate them, but Robin, you gotta understand, Robin's intellect is not that high.
Right.
Please believe that. His
Yes.
intellect is not that high, and I'm not trying to be rude.
Not at all.
He will watch this video. He might be watching now, but he'll watch this video.
Not at all.
He does not know how to read very well, so he butchers the crap out of the word. And I'm not trying to be mean, but
Then so he said, "Please examine it to see whether it is your son's tunic or not." Then he examined it and said, "It is my son's tunic. A wild beast has devoured him. Joseph has surely been torn into pieces." So Jacob tore his clothes and put sackcloth on his loins and mourned for his son many days, at least a few years. Then all his sons and all his daughters arose to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, "Surely I will go down to Sheol in mourning for my son." So his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites sold him in Egypt to Potiphar, Pharaoh's officer, the captain of the bodyguard. I remember the incident here that was similar to that. So surely, he said, "I will go down to Sheol." Surely he will go down to Sheol. Now I looked at Sheol as the YouTube platform. And for some reason, this frying pan has a similar sound as Sheol, Sheols. You can pass off as Sheol because it says Sheols, a frying pan. Apparently, this is a frying pan. And it's in the head of the beast at the top. So the next chapter is about Judah seen a daughter conceived and bore her name, a son, conceived. So as I was saying before, I try to look at this picture as a reference point, even if it wasn't even me. And you just look at it. Well, that looks like Satan. And this looks like a Nephilim, elongated head, long nose, tongue sticking out, sniffing the back of my neck, or this child's neck. They said that my dad's uncle died, or my dad's brother died, who would be my uncle. So I'm like looking at it like, all right, so what if this was my uncle who died, but is alive? And it's my dad's brother. And it's something about sleeping with your brother's wife or something along the lines, continue on the seed line. And so you have the beginner that would be like Satan, and he would mate with this woman here and would have this child here. And then this child here is actually this person's son and this person's son, but would be this person's cousin, but at the same time brother, and at the same time father, if this son mated with his mother because his father prepared a wife for him in order to go into her to have this child here. Any child that this person would have would be considered this person's brother or this person's sister. Any child that this person has would be, if it's a male, it would be this person's brother. But if this person here mated with this person's mother, that automatically already makes him his brother. And then now his son, considering this person mated with the brother's father, the father of these children, his brother, and because his brother is a reptilian race, once he mates with her and has his first child, then once conformed to male to female and would have like the belly surgery, would mate with the mother as the son and then produce an offspring, which would be a little Nephilim child. And his father would be his brother and his cousin because of who, if he was born naturally, so actually it wouldn't be cousins, considering it was a step parent family, it would be like step cousins, really. If you were told that you were in a family and you had a bunch of brothers and sisters, and your father, who isn't in the picture here for some reason, had a brother who died at birth and he was a twin, well, that would technically would be your uncle, which means any of the children that he has would be your cousin. But if your cousin winds up mating with the mother and has an offspring, well, then that cousin would become this offspring's father, along with the brother, half-brother, because he was produced from this person here, you see? So I hope it made sense to everybody, how that's possible, to keep it in the family as much as you can, secrets. So therefore, this child here would be the offspring of Satan. It would be his actual seed. If this person here was actually the father of the literal seed into this person, which actually would be his son, but then technically once the son turns into a daughter of man, and if this person here mates with his own son, daughter, well, then they could have a child like that. But if you look like this and you look like that, I think it would be kind of difficult to have a child that looks normal. But for this to be the serpent's seed, which is his idea, planting a seed into your head, you can go from male to female, and he's not laying with his son or daughter. It's just an idea. Once you went from male to female, parthenogenesis, you're able to have a baby because the landscape proves it right here. Reptilian. If it's in the landscape, they didn't waste their time carving out the landscape just because they're trying to lie to you and pretend that this is possible. No, no, no. They're showing you this is what is. It's not that it's possible. This is just what it is. You can be a normal birth child like myself and be born from an actual male, from male to female, with that either implant or as a reptilian. More like the implant, because then once you become a reptilian, once you have a child, then your child will have the same DNA as you mixed with the next person you're having. But like I said, I'm just an average, normal, born human being, right where the reptilian is heading towards. At the land of Oz, as a prey, hunted for dinner.
Though, just remember though, it says here, and many nations shall go and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of the Lord and the house of God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Word of the Lord.
As an organization? Yes, but the person who's going to lead, I have a reason to believe is what they're doing now. They're training you, and they are planning on giving you the task of retrieving those objects.
It's really strange, really bizarre, but I can tell you that the devil's a busy guy, very busy guy, and there's some really strange things going on.
This is where everybody sits down. Whoever is in charge of presenting the evidence has a collaboration of things put together, and then each one sits down. At the end of the time, from the time they sit down to the time they get up, they become a believer, because
where they built this court, like this huge dining table areas and stuff like that, really strange things that are going on. He had done, I pulled it up because I was looking for some underground temple types of sites there, and he had done some filming there, showing there where the 70 elders are going to be sitting. The court's already been put together for the Sanhedrin. They're reestablishing everything. They're preparing in Jerusalem already to head the New World Order. If you guys remember also on Patreon that besides that when they bring about, they're going to make Jerusalem the head of the New World Order. And one of the things that this Ra, this sun god Ra, is supposed to do is they're going to come back. They're going to, like I said, they're going to tell you that they sent Jesus, they sent Muhammad, but they're also going to bring about a healing campaign. They're going to do all kinds of great miracles and things like that to get the people to believe that they are truly of God. And there's some really strange things going on in Jerusalem.
I know how they can do it. They can show certain clips of certain things that were secrets. Show them continually, one after another. Just keep going and going and going and going to the point where it's like, all right, I get it. Enough's enough already.
And right now, too, the whole political landscape over there is just completely going bonkers.
The landscape that I would believe that you're considering talking about is this landscape, with everything that I still haven't seen yet. But it's usually one thing at a time. It looks like this train is chugging away. Maybe that is one of its latches.
There's 66 books in here. Where's Robin's book at? Can you guys show me where Robin's, put it on the screen where Robin's book is?